As a Jedi apprentice, Ferrus Olin had to leave the Jedi Temple in disgrace. Now he must return to redeem himself and save the future of the Jedi Order. The Empire now controls the temple and everything inside, including, it is rumored, an imprisoned Jedi. Ferrus and his street kid partner, Trevor, must plunge into the depths of Coruscant in order to free this Jedi, exposing themselves to a dark underworld thieves and refugees hide from the Emperor's wrath. Breaking into the temple isn't going to be easy, and surviving the underworld is going to be even harder.
Padawan Library, the Star Wars junior novel podcast. I am junior Jedi librarian Levi Piett, and with me, also junior Jedi librarian Tim May.
Well, senior librarian is, of course, Jacostanu, our master.
Yes, of course,
May she rest
of course.
In peace.
And also, don't forget about Aiden, whatever his name is.
From last week, from
Nepsis 8, the Nepsis 8 library branch.
Yeah, incredible stuff. We'll go back and listen to Galaxy of Fear number 5 from last week.
So you know what we're talking about. So this week we're reading Book 3 of Jude Watson's Last of the Jedi, Underworld, which there's plenty to talk about the cover alone.
To talk about. We'll get to it when we get to it, but first I want to talk to you about something.
Okay.
So earlier this week, I got a text from our friend Sam, friend of the show, and from you, a message from you around the same time, telling me about the announcement of the new Bad Batch animated series. We will talk about this. I want to tell this story quickly, though.
Okay, I can't wait for this.
I responded to you saying, eh. And then Sam posted about it on Facebook, and you commented, Tim isn't excited about it, or something like Tim is pissed, I think.
Yes, that's what I said. Tim
is pissed. This was a mischaracterization. I'm not pissed. I don't care. I just... listen, I don't really...
Well, that's the thing. You don't care, yeah.
I watched that. I've seen that arc now twice. I saw the rough animatic from several years ago now, and I saw the final version. Listen, I still haven't finished Clone Wars Season 7. Listen, I'm all about Star Trek right now outside of this podcast, so you're going to just have to live with it, everybody. I just ordered a couple Star Trek novels, Star Trek comics. I am all in right now on Star Trek. So my outside the show Star Wars consumption has dipped significantly. I will get up to Clone Wars at some point, but regardless, the problem is the Bad Batch are clones, and here's my thing: I like a couple of clone characters, but as a concept, I feel like the clones have been thoroughly explored.
I kind of agree with you there.
Especially, I mean, listen, obviously this is post-Clone Wars, so that might be an interesting thing to do. But you know what kind of clone show I would like? How about a story about Rex when he's in the Rebellion, post-Rebels, all the way through Return of the Jedi? That's an interesting story, because you know what? We actually care about that character. That's a character we care about. And, like, I know, like, what's his name joined the Echo.
Yeah.
And like, I care about him. You know why I care about him? Because Rex cares about him. All the other clone characters only are interesting insofar as their relationship with Rex. I know, like, this is my problem. So, I'm not saying the show will be bad, but here's the other thing. The show is clearly going to be made by the B team.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
the same B team that probably did Resistance.
Maybe. I saw some Resistance credits in the list of executive producers. I know Filoni is an executive producer, but he works on Mandalorian. He does not have time for this.
No.
And you know, I know that, like, one of the head writers on Clone Wars is involved, so I don't want to, like, completely dismiss it out of hand. I'm just, like, and I will watch it, like, I'm going to watch it, but it's like, I'll give it a shot anyway. I did not finish Resistance. But, which, by the way, Resistance is a fine show. I just didn't get it. It's just not for me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, I think that there's, like, there's a million other animated projects I would want before this.
Yeah.
I can't say much because you still haven't finished Rebels, but, like, there is something that happens at the end of Rebels that, like, I'd really like a sequel series to Rebels. That, you know,
well, I feel like something with Ahsoka is definitely coming. Like, I feel like
sure, or an Ahsoka series. Like, you talk about this period of time, like Ahsoka during the kind of like
that's what the A team is probably working on. I
hope so.
Like.
I hope so. But I mean, also Filoni's, you know, pretty heavily involved in The Mandalorian, as we know. So, like, how much time does he really have to do this?
Mandalorian's done, though. Mandalorian Season 2's done, unless him and John are already, like, scripting out Season 3.
Yeah, but I mean, I think they are going to hope to shoot Season 3 sometime early next year. I don't think... I think they're still planning for that. You know, obviously that might not happen, depending on where we're at. But, like, I think there's... But, I mean, who knows? He also might be a little less involved by Season 3. Who knows? I'm not...
Who knows?
I'm just... And it doesn't have to be Filoni, by the way. There are many people that can make good Star Wars stuff. I'm just saying, as far as Ahsoka goes, though, I kind of want him involved. And yeah, but whatever. Like, I'm not mad about this news. I just hope there's more coming. I don't want this to be...
I just knew you didn't care.
I just don't want this to be the main Star Wars animated series for the foreseeable future.
I don't know if it will be. I mean, it is interesting that it is post-Clone Wars. So, like, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. That's the only thing that I feel like interesting about it. However, I did feel like in the last season of Clone Wars that whole arc had, like, pilot written all over it. Like, I was just like, there is something coming with these characters that we don't know and don't care about, but there's people who will care about them.
There are people who love the clones. Like, that's their thing. And I'm not taking that away from them. I just don't care, personally. So, yeah. That's that.
Well, let's talk about something that actually, there's two things I want to discuss. First thing, I'm not caught up on Jedi Temple Challenge. I haven't watched the latest episode, but something hilarious happened in the last episode I watched. I think was episode 5. So these kids are on the obstacle course, the final challenge, the Jedi Temple Challenge, and they get to the trash compactor room where there's that triangle that you can summon the dark side on. Kid comes down the slide, walks right, he practically runs past the obstacle, hits that triangle right away, went straight for the dark side, like, and just hit it immediately.
Good. Love it.
Made me think of that moment in Last Jedi where Luke was like to Rey, like, oh, you went straight for the dark, like.
Man. What a good movie.
And then the second thing, talking about good movies, let's talk about the #1 movie in America right now, The Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Couple things about this.
I saw it. I saw it yesterday, by the way.
Oh, you motherfucker. Okay. Okay. So, in case you guys don't know, The Empire Strikes Back Disney let people... I think they planned a 40th anniversary re-release anyway.
They were planning a 4K release in the UK. But they didn't do that. So, but they just put out. See, the problem is I can't tell what version I did watch because, like, there's almost no difference between the Blu-ray and the special edition.
Oh, it's probably. I don't think they made any changes from the 04 DVD to the Blu-ray.
Right.
Adding Ian, I think, is the last major change to that movie.
Yeah, so that's actually so Ian was in it, so it was definitely the 04 version of the movie.
But regardless, that anyway, so they put this out because if you're near any sort of theater that is open at all, they're showing all old movies.
Right.
The studios are making some catalog titles available, and so anyway, there's one theater near me that's open. It's in Meadville, which is like 45 minutes, an hour away from here. And I was thinking about going earlier this week, but Empire is the only movie I would want to see. And I was I just didn't have time to figure out I wasn't sure about the hassle. I didn't know if I wanted to go deal with it. And then I looked, and it's only 1 week. It's going to be gone tomorrow.
Oh, the theater I saw it at, it's gone today. Yesterday was the last day.
So annoying, and then there's nothing there that I want to see. They're starting to put out these movies that came out in the last 3 years.
Yep.
Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna go see Black Panther again? I saw that movie 3 times 2 years ago.
Yeah, Disney's also done Zootopia, Black Panther, Inside Out, and then Iron Man replaced Empire Strikes Back today at the theater I saw it.
I mean, Iron Man is at least over a decade old. I'm not going to go to it, but to me, to me, 10 years should be the cutoff at this point. Obviously, listen, no new movies are actually coming out, no matter what you say. They're not going to come out for the rest of the year, I don't think.
No, there's no way.
Maybe a couple small releases, but no big movies.
Best Picture this year is going to Invisible Man. There's no way it's not.
Yeah, it's great. I just want... Well, actually, let me talk to you in a minute about something else. But... so, to me, the theaters that can be open, and listen, my theater in my hometown is not open. I don't know what Cinemark's doing. I think the big chains are still being
the big
cautious.
chains are still closed because
they're waiting for there to be a new movie.
Well, what I will say is Empire was #1 at the box office. It made $500,000 and was only open in 500 theaters. So that means each theater pulled at least $100 from the showings.
Sure. I mean, that's not great.
It's not great.
That's the problem is that you probably need as much staff as you normally would have because you have to clean the theaters so much.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's the problem. And you need to be able to at least pay for staff off of what you make every day. Otherwise you're losing more money. So yeah, I get it, but
there's 2 theaters near me. There's one a half hour away from me. There's one an hour. I saw Empire the one an hour. The one the half hour away is only open Friday through Sunday. They're not even open every day of the week because
see that to me is that's a smart thing, or even just only open half the theaters at once or something, and that way then alternate which screens the movies are playing on different showtimes, and then that gives them the full length of the movie to clean the other theaters.
Right.
I feel like that might be a good move. Anyway, whatever. I'm still not sure if I'm going to go out to Meadville to see anything. I'm still kind of not sure about that. Although Pennsylvania's numbers are staying pretty good right now, so I'm feeling maybe okay about it.
Well, let me say that I did wear my mask to the movie theater. I wore it the entire movie.
Okay, good. And listen, that's what everybody should do.
Everybody should stay home. Everybody should be staying home. Yes. Don't actually be going out.
Actually, don't go to a movie.
Yeah.
Listen, I probably shouldn't go to a movie. You shouldn't have been going to movies.
I shouldn't have gone. But I haven't seen Empire Strikes Back in theater since '97.
I've never seen it in theaters, so it's the only Star Wars movie I haven't seen in the theater. So
it blew me away this time too, because it's been so long. There's so many little things that I've never noticed in the movie before. Have you ever noticed that there is a stormtrooper that shoulder checks Lando?
No.
Okay.
God, I need to see it.
In the carbon
I'm not going to be able to because they only did it for 1 week for some reason.
Yeah, in the carbon freezing chamber, Lando's talking to Vader, and in the frame on either side of them are these 2 stormtroopers that are standing completely still. Vader and Lando have their exchange. Vader walks away. Then both stormtroopers go to leave, and the one to Lando's left walks behind him and shoulder checks Lando. It was whoa. That was something I noticed.
Oh, well.
And then let's talk about a character we both love, Admiral Piett.
Oh.
Admiral Piett, I mean, he is an admiral of the Empire, but to me, Admiral Piett has always been a man who's just trying to do his job the best that he can. And there's a moment I also realized in the movie too where Vader is in hologram.
This is there are good cops type rhetoric from you.
I'm sorry. I'm joking. I know. It's hard to defend Piett, but he's always just a victim of circumstance,
I know. Well, he's so pathetic. He winds up being sympathetic. So
yeah. Well, there's the moment where Vader is talking to 3 other captains or admirals via hologram, and then the hologram ends, and from behind them you see Piett hustling. He is not walking. He is like a speed walk up towards Vader, and then he's like, "Oh, the Emperor wishes for you to make contact with you at once." But he got that order that the Emperor wants to make contact. He's like, "I must find Vader now," and he took off.
Oh man. So I wish I could have seen it. It's just the only way I could is if I go tonight, and I don't know. I listen. All of it is just impulse control stuff. I really would love to go to the movies, but it's just it just feels like the wrong time still, even though around me is not that bad. We've been in the single digits daily numbers for a couple weeks now, which has been my county. I mean, which has been great.
I'm so proud of that, and I'm so proud of my home state.
I know. Listen, there's some parts of it that aren't. Pittsburgh. What? Chill the fuck out, Pittsburgh, is what I have to say.
Well, I know Pittsburgh's bad, and I also know Trumbull County in Ohio is bad, which is near where I live. Youngstown is in Trumbull County, and I know...
Well, that's because Ohio has been, crazy for,
well, DeWine's I'd like you to wear a mask, but you don't have to.
Oh, God, whatever. Anyway, why this is... okay, but I will say...
Tom Wolf represent.
Yeah, Tom Wolf. I voted for him twice. I guess I'm happy I did. Hopefully, the fucking terrible state senate gets overturned this year. Anyway, PA politics, baby. So we should start a Pennsylvania politics podcast. The Triple P.
Oh, I already know. I'm already going to get our local state representative. Well, he's not your representative, but in my town, Mark Longetti, who has run unopposed for the past 10 years, and he runs on the Democratic and Republican ticket.
So he's a Republican.
Well, you know what? Here's the funny thing. I was once driving through Sharon, and my mother went to high school with Mark Longetti, so I know exactly what he looks like. And they opened this gamers den. It's of course, a place for Dungeons and Dragons guys. And I'm driving past there one day, and there was a ribbon cutting ceremony, and they had Mark Longetti doing the ribbon cutting.
Ribbon cutting.
They had yeah, I know. Oh man, anyway, I'm happy.
Yeah, my main thing is, as far as U.S. representatives, we have Mike fucking Kelly still. We get that motherfucker out of here. Anyway. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm sorry to talk about this. No, the one other thing I wanted to talk about before we get into the book is, as far as movies go, I watched a new movie.
Did you?
On Hulu. That Andy Samberg movie. Palm
Springs.
Yeah.
Is it
very, very good, very fun, worth watching. I would recommend it, highly. It's good. So just heads up to everybody.
I will definitely check that out.
It's a time loop, Groundhog Day sort of thing, but it's got a few.
I saw something.
Twists.
I saw that they put it out as a Lonely Islands Pictures or something
Lonely Island Classics. It looks like.
Yeah, it's a knockoff of the Sony Pictures Classics.
Yeah, it was very funny. Very funny. It was a good chuckle right off the. But it's not like their other movies really. It's more it's a romantic comedy, but it's a very good one. Solid material, and J.K. Simmons is in it, and Kristen Milioti, who. She was in Wolf of Wall Street, and she was on How I Met Your Mother during the terrible last season, but she was good. She was the only good thing about the last season of that show, very famously. So, she's good. Anyway, movie's worth checking out. Just a heads up. I think I have it number 2 or 3 for the year. The 3 good movies I've seen this year, and I've only seen 6 movies, and one of them is a ESPN documentary, and not The Last Dance, which is a TV show. I don't count The Last Dance as a movie. It has to be feature length. It has to be between 90 minutes and 3-something hours, I feel like. or yeah, whatever. Last Dance is great, but it's not.
Well, I mean, Last Dance is what, 7 hours total?
10.
10 out. Well, that's more than War and Peace, so that's
and even like War and Peace at least has shown in a theater altogether before. Like, so I feel like that's like anyway, whatever. So I've really only seen 5 movies, and 3 of them have been pretty good. I've really liked Onward, the Pixar movies, like kind of went under the radar because of when it came out, but it's good. Invisible Man is the more I think about it, the more I just think it's like maybe a masterpiece, like a great movie. and the other one is
that one,
Palm Springs.
You see the director of Invisible Man's doing Wolfman next?
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
I'm excited about that too.
That's a great idea. That guy's super talented. Have you seen Upgrade?
No, I haven't, but I know you
should check that out. So. Upgrade is awesome. Anyway, all right. So when we get back, we'll be back to Last of the Jedi. We'll be talking about Underworld, number 3 in the series. So stay tuned. Welcome back to Padawan Library. I'm Tim May, here as always with Levi Piett.
Hello.
So, this week, we're back. The Last of the Jedi. Underworld. It's number 3 in the series. It's by Jude Watson, once again, our queen. And the cover. Let's start with the cover, because we've been hyping how bad this cover is for a while.
We've been alluding to this for a very long time, I feel like. But this cover, I say, is the worst cover that we have ever encountered.
I agree.
And the way I want to talk about this cover
reminds me a lot of another cover.
Well, hang on.
We'll talk about it.
The way I want to talk about this is we each say one thing we don't like about the cover, and we go back and forth until we run out.
Don't have anything. Okay.
Okay.
So do you want to start?
I'll first. The whole color scheme of this looks like poo. It is poo color schemed.
I agree. I really don't like Trevor's dumb blue hair.
Because, like, you know what? I will say one thing about this cover about Trevor is, like, Trevor's obnoxious, and this character on this cover meets that obnoxiousness, and maybe even brings it, like, a little more.
I think he's way worse on the cover than he is in the book. Like, way worse. We'll talk about it, but, yeah.
Alright. I don't like Ferris's, like, very pale skin and dead eyes. Like, his eyes are lifeless.
I don't like Ferris's super, like, dumpy looking Ferris looking like a fucking, like, thin fucking Elon Musk or some shit.
I thought he looks like Data from Star Trek almost.
It's Data for one thing.
Sorry.
And also, no. I'm trying to insult him. That's why I used, like, the name of a dipshit, like Elon Musk. Data is too good to be compared to this artwork, I feel like.
All right, my turn. I like Dexter Jester, but this moment that's being depicted on this book cover does not happen in this book. Dexter is never riding a speeder with them.
I don't like that Dexter Jester looks like he's melting over their shoulders.
He's got his arms around both of them. Well, because he's got the 4 arms, we can only
yes,
see
I know.
2 of
also,
them, so he's definitely holding
so
on
much
to them.
bigger than he even is, like with the arm coming off the side.
I know.
Like, it's ridiculous. He looks like a Rancor or some shit.
Well, okay. Another thing I don't like about this cover is the fact that Trevor's one hand is like a photo of a hand in a fist, where his other hand is very clearly like a CGI hand.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I see that now. Oh. I don't like how this cover... The Jedi Temple in the background looks like nothing. Like... I don't know. It just I don't like how this
big. Like, it's not like in ruins, and like the fact that like the Star Wars logo covers it is like a problem. Like, you can barely tell it's the Jedi Temple.
You know what else I don't like? I don't like that this cover reminds me a lot of the Deadly Hunter cover.
The cover you despise.
Just stylistically.
I can see that. Just the
that cover is
3D
better.
renderings of people is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's bizarre.
So you said you have some information about the artist here. Though.
Yes, I do. John Van Fleet, and you had alluded that this was an artist on some Batman comics. That
he was on one issue of Batman with Grant Morrison, I believe.
Well, he's done some more than that, but that's who you're thinking of. And I can't find a ton of information of him, but I'm going to read his bio. From his website. This is from johnvanfleet.com if you want to follow along. John was born into captivity and raised on space food sticks and bazooka bubblegum.
Classic.
Yeah, I know. After graduating from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, John found instant success as a waiter. Unsatisfied with the food industry, John went on to make some art. His work can be found throughout the comic book industry in forms of graphic novels and painted covers. Some of his titles include Batman the Chalice and Batman Cast Shadows for DC, Typhoid for Marvel, and The X-Files for Topps Comics. John's client.
Oh my god, he did the covers for those?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, some of those are okay, actually.
His client lists go beyond comics into the books of publishers, video game makers, film studios, and toy companies. When John is not working for the man, he creates 3D models. He says, "It's just like when I was a kid working on Aurora monster models, minus the effects of the glue."
Well, listen, he seems like he's probably a very sweet guy. I don't want to talk too much shit, but I don't like the look of his work.
I don't either.
Really at all. 3D models, leave them to video games, baby.
Yeah, leave them off book covers. Like
3D models just do not look good in like a 2D space like this. I'm trying to remember the title, but there was a big, kind of a famous comic book from the early 90s, and I'm blanking on the title right now, but it was entirely digitally created, all digital art, everything. And it was kind of a big deal, and you can find it probably in any discount bin at any comic book store old enough to have maybe had it when it came out. So, but it's it just looks bad, and that was super early days, but I don't think it's gotten much better. Obviously, most artwork is now done digitally with Wacom tablets and stuff like that. It's not I'm not saying I'm not I'm not a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. Although I do like classic pen and ink comic book art is also, I have a fondness for it still, but I can see the value in it. But as far as 3D modeling, it just doesn't work, especially for 2D images and not for comic book art. And it's a similar issue here. I mean, the covers for these books are never that good. But.
Well, what's interesting about this cover is the fact that it does have 3D elements, whereas the previous two covers have all been more sort of rotoscoped and flat.
Yeah, I actually don't really. I know you were pretty down on those covers. Didn't bother me as much. They're not my preferred style, but they were I think especially the first book's cover is pretty decent, but decent. Listen, none of these books have good covers. I love Jude, and I love these books, but it's consistently been a problem for I don't even the best covers for these books are not good. That's the problem. So.
That's been the problem. I mean, Jedi Apprentice has the best covers in terms of the Jude series, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're most consistent.
And if you've been following on Instagram, you'll see I'll post the Japanese covers from time to time, which are always painted. And the same artist who did the Jedi Quest did Last of the Jedi 2, so they're all consistent. They're great.
Some of these later covers, when we get into it, are a little better. The Drew
Struzan's covers. But to me, those covers, while they're an improvement, it also feels like Struzan's just figuring out how to do digital painting, and he's just I can't even believe they got him to do these book covers to begin with.
Because he wasn't doing Star Wars art other than the movie posters around this time.
Right,
So
I'm shocked that they even got him for
Book 6, which we'll talk about in a little while, has, I think, a pretty solid cover. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a good
Return of the Dark Side. But then you look at, like, Master of Deception, the 9th book, and, like, Ferris is, like, screaming, looks ridiculous.
There's no consistency to Ferris's depiction. Like, he, like, compared to this book cover, those are two completely different people.
It's very silly. All right. Well, anyway,
one last thing about John Van Fleet. If you go to his website, he does have on his work page, he has a tab dedicated to Star Wars because he's done more than just these books, which he doesn't include in his work on there. But he has been part of. He's done book covers, trading cards, and guide books. So he has this whole page of just like Star Wars art that he's done. And it's all pretty much the same. It's better than these, I feel like. But
yeah, well, a lot of times, that's the problem. I think because of the accelerated schedule in general with these books, Jude didn't take that as an excuse to be half-assed, but the cover artists, I think, often did.
It certainly did.
So, anyway, let's get into the book. You wanted to meet my challenge from a couple weeks ago. If everyone remembers, when we did Book 2... I was able to... I just ran through the plot.
Right.
On my own. And you said you wanted to try this. And listen, I appreciate it, although I feel like you do it most weeks. You carry the heavy load on the plot.
I always carry the details, I feel like. That's how I feel. Like, anytime we get into like little names and planets and stuff, that's where my notes come into play.
But I appreciate you you stepping up to the plate here for this week, and we'll see how it goes. Where'd we leave? I'll set up where we left off,
okay,
and then we can jump in. So the last book ended with Obi-Wan returning to Tatooine, not having told Ferris where he is or why he's there. Just saying he has to trust him, basically. Says, you can contact me if there's an emergency, all this stuff. So Ferris and his ward, Trevor, they are on their way to Coruscant because there are rumors that there's Jedi imprisoned there. And so they get to Coruscant and they see that the Jedi Temple is wrecked, and that's basically where the last book ends. So
right. So we're on Coruscant, and of course they think this Jedi prison is at the Jedi Temple. So Ferris, of course, develops a plan to break into the Jedi Temple with Trevor's help. Trevor is apparently now an explosives expert, and he needs that to help blast his way in. So their plan involves renting an air taxi, kind of for more the seedy underlevel, can't get one on the surface, might, contact the Empire. So they get an air taxi, and they jump out of the air taxi onto one of the broken spires, which leads up into a garden that Ferris used to hang out at with Suri. And on page 11, we have a diss, Suri dissing Ferris.
Furious. The Fast and
in
the
a flashback. Yes, and she, this is when they had just become master and apprentice, and she says, Ferris, if you could manage to get some of that starch out of your tunic, we'd get along much better. Dissing Ferris. So anyway, they get into the temple, and we have a fun flashback that we don't need to go into, where about Ferris and Anakin meeting for the first time. Anakin as a boy just getting to the Jedi Temple. Of course, Anakin's talking about that droid he built back home, and which is cute and adorable and sad all at the same time. And so Ferris seems to think that in the lower levels where there's storage in the Jedi Temple is where they would make this prison. He gets down there. There isn't anything in there. But there are lightsabers in there, a whole bunch of lightsabers from the Jedi Masters who have been killed, and I think they mentioned that like Mace Windu's was there or something. Like they were. Oh no,
well, no,
True's
True
lightsaber.
Veld,
yeah, the one true friend, of course. And
one true friend, the one true
that
Veld.
lightsaber holds some real significance in this story too. Significance, you know, because that's why True. Ferris left the Jedi Order because of that lightsaber. So anyway, that trips a sensor. Stormtroopers come storming in, so they have to escape the Jedi Temple. They end up in these air ducts, and they end up outside of Yoda's old living quarters, which is now Inquisitor Malorum's office. And he's not in there, so they're going to try to sneak in and get some files. Well, he shows up, and then Vader shows up. And Vader is pissed because
this scene is super hard. Vader goes so hard.
He goes so hard. Vader is pissed because like he knows that like there's an intruder in the temple, even though Malorum's like trying to hide it. It's not working out, and like he knows that like Malorum is like trying to like. Well, apparently. His job isn't even to hunt down the Jedi. Malorum's job is to clean up the underlevels of Coruscant. He's not even doing his job.
Vader's just like, why are you worried about the Jedi? I'll worry about that if I feel like worrying about that, is basically what he says.
Yeah. And he says... And then he also says something where it's like, and Vader says this sarcastically, well, if you got an intruder, why don't you just blow up the temple, you know? And then, Malorum's trying to, like, he's trying to get on Vader's good side, and he goes, well, I got some information about Polis Massa, and that's when things do not go according to Malorum's plan. So Vader then lifts Malorum into the air, shoves him against a wall, and then the windows and the walls start cracking, and they are ripped down by Vader's rage, exposing Ferris and Trevor hiding in the air ducts.
And so they have to run.
Yes, and Vader stops. Vader drops Malorum and stares at Ferris. Ferris still, of course, doesn't know that Vader is Anakin, but Anakin knows now.
He knows Ferris.
He knows. So, yeah, he knows. He has heard of Ferris. He has seen a Ferris. So anyway, Ferris, he decides he's going to, they're going to jump out a window onto a landing platform where there's a speeder, and they go through a playroom, a youngling's playroom, and Ferris immediately, he's just like, something terrible happened in this room. Of course, the slaughter of the younglings happened in that room. Anyway, they escape, and Ferris then has the idea, well, maybe I should go find Dexter Gesture. He may know something about this Jedi, and the Jedi who Ferris is looking for is Phi-Tor Anna. And so anyway, he goes looking for Dexter. Where the cafe was, Dexter's Diner, formerly Dee Dee's Cafe, has been leveled.
Gone.
The building is gone.
This was devastating to me.
Well, speaking of things being gone, we didn't mention the fact that they go into the Room of 1,000 Fountains in the temple, and that is like the saddest thing ever.
This is such a testament to Jude and what she's built, because the Jedi Temple, the Room of 1,000 Fountains, you know, maybe we see it in the movies. I guess it's possible, but or in Clone Wars or something. But it's like it's not emphasized. This has become such a holy and sacred place for all of our characters throughout her run here, and so like to see it just leveled, it like is actually like one of the most like heartrending things about like how Revenge of the Sith ends with Order 66, all this stuff. It was just. It was very well done. Yeah, it was. And Dexter's Diner is a similar situation because she built even more history out of that.
Exactly, and I feel like too, because Dee Dee's Diner came way before. I mean, we even had Dexter's Gesture, but for her to, Dexter's Diner being in episode 2, and for her to add that little bit that Dee Dee sold the cafe and it became Dexter's Diner, it's just it's all part of like how she is like. She understands the world she's working in. She's understanding what the key aspects of it are and what she can take from the movies and how she can add to them. So, anyway.
She's great.
She's fantastic.
Bring her back. Let's do some shit.
I would die if she came back.
Yeah, this show would be going on forever if she came back.
Yeah, exactly. Even if we had finished the show, we would be grudgingly, like, we wouldn't even begrudgingly come back. We would just be like, well, we have to come back.
Course.
Like,
we have to come back. Yeah,
we have to go back. We have to go back.
If it's ever announced that she's doing another Star Wars book, you need to post like that a meme of that with like my face and like on Kate and your face on Jack or vice versa.
Yeah,
and
go back.
That will get our fans so pumped.
Oh man! So anyway, they talked to somebody on the street. And they said, well, Dexter, of course, was targeted by the Empire as being an informant, and he may have joined the Erased. And this is like a group of people that have like been targeted by the Empire, and they're basically just doing everything they can to stay
fake
out
their
of
own deaths, and they yeah.
So anyway, they wander into a random bar called the Sunset, and they nearly get
Well, it's not random because the person that told Ferris what happened to Dexter's Diner kind of gives him a hint.
Oh,
like,
that's it. She says something
about go down at sunset in the Orange District or something like that.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, they nearly get attacked when they walk into this bar. Well, actually, they do. Both Ferris and Trevor are thrown against a wall, and Dexter's there, and Dexter talks to them, and so he says he met the Jedi, Phi Torana, and that she was going to look for Solace. Solace is apparently an area that nobody knows where its existence is, but a safe haven for people who are running from the Empire. So the group, the Erased, decide to have and then also...
Did you mention Dexter's there?
Yeah, Dexter's there. Yeah, they're talking. Yeah, they're talking.
And
they're
Dexter, delightful presence as... And Ferris tells him that Obi-Wan sent him, and this is like a very nice moment with Dexter feeling like so relieved that Obi-Wan's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful moment there.
Yes, great moment. Love that moment. And so anyway, this group, the Erased...
greatest moment, the most beautiful moment.
Yeah, the Room of 1,000 Fountains. It was so touching and so sad at the same time. Speaking of things that make me emotional and I don't understand why, Empire Strikes Back. I think it's a mixture of the music, because the song Clash of the Lightsabers has that great ending where that boom.
Yeah, so good.
But every time R2 opens that door and then sprays the smoke to that gets me so emotional. I do not understand
I know exactly.
why.
I think it is the music, but it's also the place. It's like a release valve too. Like it's a very tense moment in the movie. But
it is so tense. But R2 just saving the day like that. Oh man. And watching those movies is so fun with having like the prequel context and like R2's perspective, because like when Yoda shows up, R2 freaks out. You can hear R2 freaking out in the background, and R2's probably just like, "Oh my god, it's Yoda!" And then then after he's beaten by Yoda with the stick, like R2's probably just like, "Oh my god, what has happened to this man?" Like, we are in deep trouble now.
So good.
Okay, anyway, so Ferris tells them that Malarum is in charge of supposed to be cleaning up the streets, even though he's not doing it. So this group here, the Erased, elects that they should all go look for Solace. Dexter decides he's going to stay behind and be their diversion, I guess, or, Anyway.
He does not join them on their...
He does not join them. So they all elect Ferris as leader of this group. So they don't know where Solace is, but the clues they keep getting about it are that it's by the crust. The planet's crust of Coruscant. So they go down to the deepest level of Coruscant, where things are still built out of stone, centuries-year-old town. And there's this moment where Trevor is attacked by a Duracrete slug, a slug that lives in between the cracks of Duracrete.
Some beastie nonsense.
Some beastie nonsense.
He gets mad that he gets saved by one of the other people in their party and not by
Right,
Ferris.
not by
That's
Ferris.
the only thing that matters from this.
However, he looks, the creature that's like in the crack of the Duracrete, he notices something shiny below it, and he goes, I think I know where Solace is. So they climb down, it leads to a tunnel. They meet a person in a helmet who claims that they could tell them where Solace is. They ask for the character's name. The character's like, I forgot my name ages ago. Call me Guide. So,
Guide themselves.
Yes. So guides them through the tunnels and then takes them to this opening, this big cavern, because apparently centuries ago Coruscant had oceans and they drained the oceans into these caverns. So basically there's like a little village built in this cavern, and they find out that Guide is actually Solace. Solace isn't a place, Solace is a person. And then all these villagers come out and they figured it out. Solace leads people to what they think is Solace so that they could be mugged and, have all their stuff taken to provide for the people who are there. However, when Ferris pulls out his lightsaber, Solace is like, whoa, stop. Solace takes off the helmet. Turns out Solace is Phi Tor Anna. And so they're
the Jedi Master that was rumored to be imprisoned in the
right.
Jedi
and
Temple.
Her and Ferris are a little standoffish. She keeps calling him a Padawan, the one who left, and that kind of thing.
She figures it out who he is pretty quickly. So
yeah, and but then that leads to
she's kind of very like a kind of Colonel Kurtz like figure, like at least at first. But her turnaround is very quick. At first I was like, oh, this is cool. It was like, yeah, Colonel Kurtz, like, fucking, like, she's gone crazy. She's turned her back on the Jedi. Like, this whole journey was for nothing, finding this person, because they don't want to be found, I thought it was going to be that kind of thing, but it kind of turns around pretty quickly. So.
Yeah, as soon as he mentions that they are keeping the lightsabers down in the storage room of the temple, she's like, well, we have to go back. And also there's a potential spy in her midst. So they want to raid Malorum's office, figure out who the spy is. Ferris is like, we had to go in through the tower. I don't know how we're going to get back in. And she's like, oh, why don't you take the service tunnel that was built during the Clone Wars? Oh, wait, you weren't there for that, quitter. Anyway, so they go back to the temple, wrapping this up real quick because this is all wrapped up real quick within like the last 20 pages of this book.
It was. I was when I realized like how much I like where we were at. Like I was like, there's only 20 pages left. I can't believe it.
Yeah. So anyway, they get to the temple, and there's a bomb. Malorum took Vader's words seriously, and he is going to blow up the temple, in which then he would say, Vader told me to do it, and he would gain favor with the Emperor. Anyway, they defuse the bomb very easily, and then a ton of stormtroopers come raiding in. They go to escape. Phi Torana and Trevor escape. Ferris, he is blocking their way. There's like 50 stormtroopers, there's walkers, and he puts his hands up, he throws his lightsaber in the air. Phi Torana catches it, and she takes off, and Ferris surrenders. And then we have a moment where Ferris is in jail, and he speaks to Malorum, and he's very, very silly with Malorum, saying like, hey, we gotta stop meeting like this. We should go out and have some fun,
Classic stuff.
And Malorum then says, funny words for a dead man. Anyway, I'm late for lunch. Something he actually says. He's late for lunch, so he leaves. And then we have...
he's going to go sit down on his sleep couch and eat his space food.
Yes. And then cut back to Trevor and Phi Torana. They get back to the safe haven in the crust, and she vows that they're going to go save Ferris. However... they get back, and the whole safe haven is under attack, and one of the erased boys falls at their feet, bloodied and dead, and that's where the book ends.
Which, pretty exciting. You did a great job there.
Oh, thank you very much.
I don't think you missed any big moments. The only other moment, I guess, is he does contact Obi-Wan at one point.
Yes, he does.
Which it's kind of like he tells him like, oh, Dexter Jester says hi, and like Obi-Wan's like, very nice, but this is for emergencies, my guy. Like, thank you, but So anyway, whatever. He just tells them that Vader's not interested in Polis Massa, at least as he heard it. Obviously, I'm sure Anakin's able to hide his feelings pretty easily, but...
Well, I mean, he does shove Malarum against the wall, and the temple starts collapsing around him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how Ferris got that Vader doesn't care about that. But regardless, so... Anyway, and then he even says, like, you know... he even tells Ferris to watch out for anything else about Polis Massa or about Senator Padme Amidala's death. And actually, there's a typo in the book. I don't know if you got this, too. It's Padme with an I.
Oh, I did not see that.
Yeah,
wow.
So very funny. Anyway, this book, the last book I remember I wasn't down on it, but I thought it was a step down from the first one.
What happened in that last book? Oh, they went to Ilum. That's right.
Yeah, it was fine, but we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Go back and listen to that. Mm-hmm. So, this one, though, I thought was actually a pretty big step up. I was very nervous about Trevor. He still hasn't taken a dominant role yet, so I haven't been super irritated by him yet. I'm still nervous. Still nervous. But we'll see. So, I thought this book... was very exciting. Like I thought the hollowed out husk of the Jedi Temple very evocative. Mm-hmm. Finding this kind of like broken Jedi Master, like I said, a kind of a Colonel Kurtz situation. I wish that we got to live in that feeling a little longer. Is my only real criticism on that part. Like I mentioned earlier, but this is a solid book. It's not like top tier Jude, but I'd still give it. Like, pretty high, like 8.5 out of 10. Like, very good.
Yep, I agree with that. I give it an 8. And I'll flavor it... what would I flavor this one? I'll flavor this one... Oh, man, I should have actually thought about this.
Listen, it's Dexter Jetster.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he was so exciting. Like, it was an emotional scene, them talking, which is... funny because I don't even know if we ever see them meet before.
No, we've never seen them meet before. That's not happened. Oh, Jude callback that I did not mention during my summary, and this is something else I liked. So one of the erased is the cousin of. Hang on, let me find it here. Tyro. Remember Tyro, the Senate aide?
Oh,
the
yeah.
little furry Senate aide? One of them is his cousin. And towards the end of the book, whenever they're going to go back to the temple, we see the Saravinian goodbye again on page 118. So we got another Jude creation here. So it was Curran who spoke up using the words of the Severini. On their world, it was considered bad luck to say goodbye. The journey begins, Curran said, and softly, so go. So, we had that moment with Tyro and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, that's a classic moment. Yeah, no,
but it's just more world building out of Jude. So
yeah.
that's
she's added so much to my feeling and my understanding about this period of Star Wars history, and it's just a shame that I feel like this stuff is largely forgotten now. I'm not a bring back Legends freak or anything. I get why they moved on from the old stuff, but this is very I feel like this is as enriching as the best Clone Wars episodes.
I agree.
Or it's so good. So yeah, I'm glad we're on the same page.
Especially with Anakin, her portrayal of Anakin is one of the most perfect portrayals of him.
I agree. So. I think she doesn't betray the character as shown in the movies at all, but she does make him more sympathetic. It is very impressive. So this and that carries into her portrayal of Vader in the one scene in this book. So I'm very excited to going forward with this series. I think this has been pretty much firing on all cylinders so far. So next week we're going to be doing book 4, which is Death on Naboo. Very exciting title. And before we leave, I wanted to just I should have done this in the first part of the show, but
okay.
So this last week, the Criterion Barnes & Noble 50% off sale started. So I got 3 movies, and I'll tell you another story. I got 2 films by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger, 2 directors that I really should have gotten into by now, but I'm very excited to dive in. I got The Life and Death of Colonel Blimp, which is supposedly the greatest British film of all time. You know, it's often considered that. Takes place over 40 years, grand scale, epic. And then I also got A Matter of Life and Death, which is from a few years later, which I've heard is quite good. Some people think it's like, I've seen some people list it as like one of their favorite movies of all time. So very excited.
Those are good covers too.
Yeah, great covers.
I know we're not a visual medium, but yeah, that's a fantastic cover.
And then I also got A Touch of Zen, which is one of King Hu's early wuxia movies. That's a genre I've always wanted to get more into. I'm a basic bitch as far as wuxia goes. But one of my favorite movies is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which I know, I know that's a very controversial movie amongst the wuxia experts. So relax. But great movie, regardless of how authentic or whatever it is. Great movie. And so I'm like, I need to dive deep into the original shit. So A Touch of Zen, and then then I traded in a bunch of DVDs at the Exchange, which is where a friend of the show, Brooke White, works. It's a used DVD store. And
you got a good deal, I assume.
Oh yeah. I got like $160 of credit, and so it's so good. And so I got some cool stuff. I got like the Godfather Coppola restoration. I finally got that because I just never felt like spending the money on it. And then, but as far as Criterion goes, I got Fanny and Alexander.
Oh, nice.
Which is like a $60 Blu-ray. I got that for $18 and really nothing because I didn't spend any money. So I was like, just. And then I also one of the movies I traded in was The Royal Tenenbaums because that DVD transfer is straight up ass. I don't know if you've watched that recently. It looks like shit haven't. On like a regular TV, on like any modern television. So they had the Blu-ray for like $15. So I was just like, fuck, great. Upgrade, baby.
Of course.
And then, so very exciting. I don't know why I had to tell everybody this, but I just was like...
Well, speaking of directors, that I watched Meet the Feebles the other day, and it's hard to believe that Peter Jackson went from that to Lord of the Rings sometimes.
Oh yeah, that's a wild-ass movie.
It is a wild-ass movie. Insensitive from the time it was made, highly insensitive in some parts now, but that's the whole premise of the movie. Yeah. So, it's not trying to
no, it's
be
a wild...
accommodating.
Listen, I haven't seen that movie in years. I love his first two movies though, Bad Taste and Dead Alive are great.
Okay, I didn't know the order they came out, so but
Bad Taste, Dead Alive, Meet the Feebles, and then he does Heavenly Creatures, and that's kind of where he pivots out of that kind of shock value stuff. But it's
you love movies.
I love movies. It is what it is. They're great. Anyway, so I will.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Buy our T-shirt at TeePublic. I think that's where it's at.
Yes, that is where it is.
And then if you have any questions for the show, feel free to email us at PadawanLibrary@gmail. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, and of course YouTube. You can also interact with us at any of those messaging platforms on any of those social medias.
Yes.
So do you have anything else?
No, I'm sorry.
All right, go get your pizza.
All right.
Until the books are due back.
The library is closed. Padawan Library is hosted and produced by Tim May and Levi Piett. It is edited by Tim May. Our theme song is by the Astral Project. Our artwork is by Freddie Funbuns. Copyright 2020, Tim May and Levi Piett, all rights reserved.